Yeah.
Drinking a claw?
No, I fucking
I
wish.
thought you just jumped in like, hi, this is the fitness influencer that I'm interviewing
I've
today.
been for 6 months, but fucking cheers.
Dude, I've been drinking all day.
I'm blacked.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll do this, but I only got about 15 minutes before I don't own anything I say.
Dead ass.
Yeah. So how you been? I guess for everybody listening to you, so this is my friend Ashley. I met her when I was going to school at UWL. I've known her for quite a while. She's great at what she does. Competes in bikini, right?
Yes, yes.
That works out at Alpha Land in Texas. How you been?
Good. Honestly, like, especially this past week, I'm just like seriously living my best life. And it's kind of cool to just
Yeah,
like be in the moment and like notice that and feel that. Like,
sure.
I've just been like on this whole like self love and like fuck everybody and I'm
Yeah,
gonna do me vibe, and it's been good. And like prep was the best thing that I've ever done, and like
sure.
now that I'm still in that mindset but have the energy from food again, I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
vibing.
saw that kind of from like watching everything. So how did that all look for you? So obviously, like I said, met you in lacrosse. You were already fucking what I thought was shredded when I met you, right?
Yeah.
But then, but then obviously seeing the pictures of you, seeing the pictures from your competition and things like that. What did that look like from? Because I feel like you were prepping right before you left Wisconsin. Actually, I think I saw you, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. What did that look like from when you started prepping to competition day? Like what did that look like for you?
So I kind of got introduced into bodybuilding because like everybody's always made comments that I am like weirdly strong, and like I had just gotten into the rec and I love training. Like that's where it all stems from, is because like I
Right.
like gym and I just like pushing around
Like
some
being
heavy,
there.
yeah, feeling like a badass. And I didn't know shit about lifting weights at all, or like the
That's
nutrition,
crazy.
bodybuilding, and
Yeah.
we just eat. Like I'm a foodie, I can take down some food.
Yeah.
So I was dirty bulking for like all 4 years of college and lots of drinking and partying on top
Yeah.
of that.
Sure.
But yeah, so like I feel like I just kind of accidentally did it right. And then I had some coaches like post quarantine that like kind of noticed me, and they're like, dude, you should really like start getting into this. And it was the first time I ever followed a meal plan. Wasn't really like my style of coaching
And when
thing.
was this then? Like when it was this was like right after like 2020-ish, like when you
Yeah,
were okay.
like fall of 2020. And at this point in school, I was just like, I'm bartending, like I'm enjoying my college, like I'm not ready for this. It's definitely like a passion, but
Sure.
being myself, I just wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
Um, like in the back of my mind, I always knew it was a path that I wanted to take. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah.
And so not like this past New Year's, as in like 2 weeks ago, but the previous New Year's.
Yeah.
Um, I had just like looked at myself one day and I was like, not necessarily like what my body looked like, but just like more like where I was in life. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I had been kind of like having my eye on some coaches and like watching some stuff,
They're like
and
people you followed and things like
yeah,
that. Okay.
influence. Like I can tell pretty quickly when I'm gonna vibe with somebody and when I'm not. So like
Yeah.
I was trying to put in the effort to like make sure that when I hired a coach, like I was gonna go all in and I was gonna do
Sure.
that with everything that I could.
Yeah, and what did that look like for like picking coaches? Kind of like, I don't mean to go aside on that.
Yeah,
Like when you were looking for coaches, like what kind of qualities kind of like to make sure you would vibe with them? Like, what did you
yeah.
look for in a coach? Like when you were getting ready to do that?
Honestly, somebody that like I could see myself being, like somebody that I could directly look up to. And that didn't necessarily
Sure.
mean girl versus guy. Like it didn't really have to be like physical,
Yeah.
but somebody that I knew like was clearly, it was almost like looking for like a best friend, or like
Yeah.
somebody that you can click with, and like you have the same views and the same goals and the same
Yeah.
passion.
Sure.
Um but yeah, so I would just follow people and like I watched their journey and like how they did things themselves, because
Yeah.
like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And like
Yeah.
they're just fucking off in the rest of their life and not taking shit seriously, then clearly
Yeah.
they're going to be the same way.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, so I had hired my coach last January. It was our first time starting together.
Yeah.
And so we got into things right away, and like hearing from more of their clients now, I didn't realize like it was such a thing for clients to like not perfectly follow plan.
Yeah.
Realize how
Yeah. You were
uncommon.
just ready to jump right in. Like,
I was like, this girl tells me to do something. It's like my mom telling me to do something, you know,
yeah.
like I'm not do it.
Yeah.
So like from the very first day, like I just went balls to the wall, and I like
Yeah.
followed plan. Like I was about to get on stage the next week. And at that point we had no like date picked out. It was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
she
For
had,
like the competition date that you wanted to do. And
yeah, she kind of had to like test me and make sure that I can handle it, because it's a
yeah.
serious, like everybody wants to look shredded and whatever.
Sure.
So we did a pretty slow cut, and I lost like 20 pounds in about 5 months,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Okay.
And so we started reversing, pushing food back up, dropping cardio. She
Yeah.
was just like taking me through the whole prep process without prepping. And
Sure.
like to see if I can make those sacrifices. Like graduation came, and like I didn't go out, senior pub crawl. I
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
I remember seeing that on your site. You were working, right? Like you were working at Howie still at the time, or it's right?
yeah, no, I was still working there at the time, but I had actually gotten off
Yeah.
to go out for pub crawl. So
You're
like I
going through it.
all partied, and then I went on a party bus at night and sober the whole time. And
Yeah.
the amount of shit I got from people honestly was like,
Oh yeah, especially in lacrosse, right? Yeah,
and they'd be oh,
like you of all people, that's how I feel when I'm around people too. They're like, you don't go and drink all the time? Like, no.
oh, bro,
Yeah.
sorry.
So that kind of, was that like for you, was that when you could figure out you were really for real about what you were doing too? Like you sat
Yeah.
there with people you'd gone out with a ton of times that you had a lot of history with, like friends and things like that. Was that kind of like your turning point? You're like, I'm really serious about this then?
Yeah, it really showed me my passion, because I like obviously hiring my coach, I'm like, I can't wait to get on stage. Like that, like it's not
Yeah.
everything, like especially before you've done your first one, you're like, that's so exciting. Like it's
Yeah.
such a big, looks so cool. And like we didn't have a date picked out until like 2 weeks before I actually started prep. So like the whole time I was doing that cut and I was like making these sacrifices,
Yeah.
I had people would ask me, they're like, so you're not drinking because you're gonna do a show? Like when's your show? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
Just
Your guess
open it
is as good as mine. We're gonna see. Yeah.
and like that just showed me my passion, because like I mean, if I didn't love the daily tasks of the whole thing, like
Yeah.
there's no way I was gonna last in it.
Well, and you know what? I got a question for too. Did you feel like it was almost liberating too? Like I felt this way when I got out of lacrosse. Did you feel like it was kind of liberating that you couldn't drink? Like almost like that was like your way to kind of separate yourself from like your two different lives you were gonna live, right? Like, like it was like it was almost like not an excuse, but it was like your reason why you didn't have to do it. Like I'm doing a show, dude. Like
I thrive like having a big goal like that or something, and
yeah.
that's doing the 75 hard, because like I need a reason to be like, no, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not going there. I would love to, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. So and then when did you go about picking your date then? Like, so you're doing that, right? Like you're kind of like in that transition phase, right? Like coming out of college, you had picked your coach, you had started doing the prepping portion of things. Then like, how did that look like for you? When did you finally pick the date? Like, how did you go about deciding what competition you're going to pick? Because I'm sure, right, like with a coach, there's something involved in like, this is right for you, but this wouldn't be, this is too soon, or this is, you know, too late. What did that look like?
Sure. Like it's definitely like the client's choice, obviously. Like I pick what shows I want to do to an extent, obviously. Like my coach, I give her full trust, and if she tells me I'm not ready for a show, I'm not doing the show, whether I want to or not.
Yeah, she's your coach, right? Like you're the
like
ideal client, by the way.
She tells me that all the time. She's like, you are like the picture perfect of like what you want somebody to do. Because I'm just like, yes.
Ready, willing, and able. Because you have to be all three, you know. But that's what it sounds like. But anyways, yeah. So picking the day, how did that look? And
yeah, so I actually like once I hired my coach, I just also went through like a ton of life changes last year.
Yeah.
So like all of it on top of it, each other was just like creating this huge effect. And so I graduated, and then I had started working like a normal 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I was like in my cutting phase with my coach. So the beginning phase. And I just wasn't happy with working the job that I was.
Yeah.
And like this whole Elfland thing, and like I graduated, so I don't really have any cross anymore. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna move down to Texas.
Yeah.
And I saw myself going very far from the very start in this bodybuilding.
Sure.
So I was like, Texas is like by far the most competitive state to be in for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I was gonna compete down here either way. So I mean, I hadn't really thought about anywhere else, but I was like, it makes sense to go down to Texas. Plus warm weather, fuck Wisconsin winters.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so cool too. I don't want to distract from like where you're going, but like I think that's really cool because I think I talked to a lot of people from Wisconsin, people we went to school with, but like everybody has like an idea of what they're going to do. But I remember you actually bringing that up, that's where you wanted to go one time when we were talking.
Yeah.
And I'm like you actually went and fucking did it. You did it. Yeah. So that's gotta feel cool. But yeah. So you moved down, right? Like you decided to do that because you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna compete down here anyways. Then how was like the move and everything, like transitioning from Wisconsin? And because that's a huge change. I know that from moving to Arizona, like it's great, like your life is going to improve, but like everything involved in the move is fucking stressful. Stressful.
It's so stressful.
Oh my God.
Like such a fuck it mindset that I'm like, everything work out the way it's supposed to. But yeah, I like literally just sold all my stuff. I didn't even have a job lined up when I got down here. I was like, there's no
like a burn the boat moment, right? I'm going, fuck it.
Yeah. I'm like, hell nah. And like that drive itself, man, that was deadly.
How 20 far of a drive was that?
3 hours straight. I stopped and took 2 30-minute naps, and that was it. All by myself.
Yeah. Wait, you drove down by yourself?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. And then you had like, did you have like a U-Haul or you legit sold all your shit?
Yeah, I packed my little Honda Fit and drove my ass down here by myself.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, it was such a cool
Respect. Yeah. I at least brought a U-Haul of shit, and I had my roommate with me. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So so you moved down here. Like, do you live with a roommate now? Like do you like how does that?
Yeah. I've always been like that's what I knew I was gonna succeed down here, and like because I am just such a one-man wolf pack type, like
the lone wolf pack
surrounding. And that's why I had to get out of lacrosse too. I just couldn't have that time to focus on myself and my friends and family and everybody I love. But I just like, especially with knowing prep's coming, I wanted to be able to like honestly shut everybody in. I get asked a lot too, like, is that lonely? But I'm like, I thrive in it. So it's like, especially during prep, if I didn't bartend and I didn't work out at a really popular gym, I would never come in contact with humans ever.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, so like, how does that? Because I know you bartend somewhere in like, because you're in the Houston area, right? You're in Houston, right?
I'm like right part of Houston.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like I watch your stories and it looks like there's some crazy fucking massive party every time I watch it, and it's funny because I look at it, I'm like, okay, she's not even drinking. Like, what is that? What is that like? And then what's the difference too? Because I've noticed this in being in Arizona. What is the difference between like bars in that area versus Wisconsin?
Oh my gosh, they could not be further from different, honestly. So I have the craziest story actually. I moved down here, didn't have a job lined up. And so I was like, I'm gonna type into Google bars near me. like right in the heart of all the like poppin' area.
Yeah.
So I knew they were like all the good ones were around. And I found this one and I was like, perfect fit. It was like honestly like a Howie's vibe, but bigger. And I was like, bet.
Like good people, good bar.
Sports bar. I got it. So I go in and I like this was 2 days after I moved here. So I go in and I have I like go to fill out the paperwork and they're like, we're just going to interview you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, well, with your experience, you're going to be hired. They're like, do you have plans tonight? Can you come work? We're short a bartender.
Like that night?
Fuck it. And I'm like still high that I just got down here. Like, I'm like, shit, I'm in Houston. And I was like, sure, fuck it. And I didn't know, like, they're not going to train me or anything. I'm like terrified. I'm like, I don't know how it works down here.
It's a big ass bar too, right? Like from what I've seen, like it's very busy. Like Howie's vibe, but like triple the size, right?
Like way more intense. It was actually for this private event that they had in the back. And then they tell me I'm going to be alone. And I was like, holy. So I come back later that night and I come to my shift and it was like this big, I think they were like Latino or something, but this is like my first experience. Cause like the culture diversity down here is insane. Like white are the minority and it's so cool. But like this big Latino birthday party and they were there to throw money. And this is my in Houston. I'm like bartending by myself in this like super cool speakeasy in the back. Popping bottles and I made racks.
You're like, I can live here now. This is great.
I literally
I get to stay.
Like, holy shit. I was like, this is gonna work out well.
And is that go ahead.
But yeah, like the club, like it's not even necessarily that they're bars down here. Like it's all just clubs. Cause honestly, so New Year's I actually was done at that place. So now I started a new job. And I mean, I don't know how well you know Houston, but I'm working at Clay now, which is just this, it's like one of the top nightclubs in Houston. So it's like legit.
You like, is it kind of like here, like if you go out in Scottsdale, like you're brushing shoulders with like famous people type of thing? Like I imagine Houston's like a big like area like that too, where like
people are just it's big names and they're just here to flex and throw money and like I don't party and I don't drink, so I just sit there and I collect it all and I'm like what
do you want a shot? No, I'm okay, I'm working.
Like over Christmas Simone Biles was when I was bartending still back and I'm like shitting my pants about it and everybody's like like it's chill and I'm like
that's super cool. You actually, speaking of like, you were in gymnastics as well too, right? Okay, that must have been really cool then.
Simone Biles for so long and she's just sitting there next to me and I'm like, holy shit.
She's like, and then she's like really short, right? Like too, she's like, is she taller than her, by the way?
Way taller. She's like maybe, I don't even know if she's 5 foot. I'm 5 foot. I got a little bit on it. But Ricky Red was at work this last weekend and I was like, oh my God, bro. It's just
I think that's so cool that like you're putting yourself in a position to like something in bartending where you're able to like network with people. Because that's the biggest thing I noticed moving here too is like when you move somewhere and you don't know anyone, you realize it's just like all about putting yourself in the right spaces to meet people and meet the people I guess that you want to meet and will get you places too. Do you feel like that, like working at those bars too, like you come in contact with a lot of people that, you know, are good connections to have like going forward in your career and things like that too? And
it's kind of cool because like, again, I work out at Alphaland, so I get all of those people, which I mean, I have just met, like, it's insane how many people go there in a week and how many faces I constantly see. And it's completely a different group than what I come in contact with at work. So get that variety. Like, I have just met so many people since I've moved down. Such like a cool life experience.
Well, it's cool to just know people in all those different spaces too. Like,
you never know when you're gonna need certain connections with certain people, and it just pops up, and everything always works out. And
no, that's really cool, especially like when you're down there, kind of like it's just you, right? Like, obviously, you've met people and things like that too. You have the people that you know at Alphaland, but like knowing all those people is gonna pay off big time in the long run. Yeah, what would you say too in training at Alpha Land? Like, what's been the coolest thing about that? Like, I feel like I've watched your stories. There's a lot of cool equipment. Like the vibe's super cool. I'm sure you train around a lot of. I think when we talk too, like a lot of influencer people, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
what's been kind of the coolest things about training there, and what do you like about it, and what do you not like? I guess too, if there's things
Oh,
too.
there's I love it overall. Like again, the experience itself is fantastic. Like
Yeah,
it is what it is, and it's a hot spot. Like they have
sure.
events there, and everybody in the fitness and health industry, like at some point, is gonna be there. So having that opportunity in my backyard is pretty
Yeah,
freaking.
and that's like
Like
your regular gym, right? Like
yeah,
that's where you go.
amount that just like on a daily are new, and they come up to me and they're like, "Hey, like you look like you do this. Like, can you write me a meal plan?" Like it's all I'm doing
Yeah,
is in there, and I'm marketing myself at the same time, and
it's
it's
really
just easy.
cool.
Yeah, the equipment is fantastic. Like the 3 different gyms, having an outdoor gym,
Oh, that's
the
cool.
all the lighting in the mirrors,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
But the influencer thing is by far the worst. Um, it's
yeah,
on like a high school of influencers. That's how I reference it to. And no judgment. Like
yeah,
everybody's down there for their own purpose. It's not. I just don't think I have the same purpose as most people do down there.
sure.
Um, everybody's just trying to do the same thing, and like if I'm in there to train and most people aren't in there to train, they're in there to like
Take a
record it
picture. Yeah,
and again, do you whatever, but I honestly don't think I could work out there if I only worked out or if I could only work out at nights. But
yeah,
because of my bartending schedule and whatnot, I always lift in the mornings and it's so much like more quiet and the influencers are always there at night. Like that's when they just
yeah.
like all together and shit.
It seems like that makes sense too. Like the committed people, like yeah, they're
Yeah.
in there in the morning, like getting
All
their shit done.
coaches, they make their own
Yeah,
schedule. So
yeah,
everybody in the morning. Yeah.
yeah.
It works out in that sense, but it's a lot. Like those cameras and people are just like it's
Constantly shooting videos and
yeah, those obnoxious TikTok videos. Like I don't even have TikTok and I see these people making them and I'm like, this is real life. Wow.
yeah. No, that is crazy. I noticed that when I was working too with like I was working with an MLS team. And it's like the same thing. Everybody's like in their workouts, like because we had like Real Salt Lake's Academy team and things like that. And it's like, yeah, these people are like legit pro athletes and everybody's like having to record every second of the
Yeah.
workout and things like that, making TikToks in between, which is fine. But I'm sure
Yeah.
on that scale, like when you're just trying to get a workout and you're probably in the background of like, you know,
It's so
5 or 6 different people's videos is not even knowing. And
I'm like, God damn it. I'm just trying to lift. And especially during prep, like when I was such prep mode and those workouts were so hard to get through.
yeah.
And last thing I want to deal with is somebody like I'm tripping over their tripod because it's right in front of
Yeah.
my
Oh fuck yeah.
yeah.
Well, speaking of the prep portion, like so when you kind of going back to what we were talking about, like when you did eventually pick your competition, what did you and your coach like look for in a competition? Like and how did you guys decide that you were ready in that amount of time?
So honestly, we had like loosely looked at things ahead of time,
Yeah,
but I like decided and moved pretty last minute. Like
yeah,
I moved very long. And so I told her I kind of wanted to wait until I got down to Texas to start just because I
sure.
knew I was already going all in, but I was going to be like really excessively extreme about it.
Yeah, you were like ready to dive in.
Yeah, like I wanted everything to be perfect and I didn't want to move in between that.
Yeah,
I got down here, like a normal prep that at least like females do are like
sure.
16 minimum. And
15?
it's 16 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah. And like most people do 20, 24 plus.
sure,
And we're looking at the schedule of shows and I'm like the last one, which is also like it's the last one. So it's the big one.
yeah,
Um, it was like 14 weeks away, but
sure.
I had been perfectly, not perfectly, because I enjoyed myself before I left Wisconsin.
I'm sure. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. But like I was on plan for like the last 8-7 months, whatever time that was. So like it's not like I'm jumping into this. So and like my body does on very quickly. So we were like, all right, let's send it. So like 14 weeks out, we picked the show date. And then I was still in like my peak bulk at this point. I was doing no cardio. My food was really high. I like abs, like whatever. But yeah, so like 11 and a half weeks out is when I started cutting, which is like, especially, yeah, she's like,
that was really short, right?
Yeah. And I was at my peak or my top weight at like 133, I think.
Yeah.
Before I started cutting. And then my lowest of prep was 112. And that was in
11 weeks. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did that feel like, what did that feel like? Because I mean, obviously it's been very evident since like I've known you and talked to you about training, things like that. Like you have like the mindset that it seems like you can really kind of compartmentalize and go, okay, this isn't how this is going to be all the time, but I can lock in and I can stay focused for, you know what, I got 11 weeks right now to focus out. Like for you, like, what does that look like? Was that daunting? And like, what did that feel like the closer you got to the show too, like the competition?
Honestly, I was kind of excited to do a shorter prep because when I just go so hard. So I was like, all right, let's see how hard I can actually go.
Yeah.
So I was pretty ready, and I had not like done my research and watched enough preps. Like I knew what to expect, and like I had been on plan for so long. So the day prep started, my life didn't change. You know, I just did the same.
You were already pretty regimented in that. It was just changing
a little bit. You know, I was doing things, but I don't know, something about like my mental and like personality. I just like to be down bad like that. Like I'm not living my life unless I'm like suffering.
you like the struggle involved in getting somewhere where you want to go. Because like I think that's a cool thing though too. Probably like when you're in that space too, you like it because you know, kind of like anytime you get into like a really, you know, you're suffering a lot, you always know there's kind of that whoosh at the end where you get where you want to go. Has that kind of been like is that kind of like how that worked for you too a little bit? I feel like
always remind myself I'm like everything, like, and it correlates to literally every part of it, is that everything's so temporary. Like me sitting on and doing 2 hours of cardio a day, like it's gonna end eventually. Me being shredded, it's gonna end eventually. Like I can't. That was another thing too, is like I really tried to not connect myself with like loving my lean body. I honestly didn't love my lean body that much. It kind of sucks being that small, but you know, because a lot of people struggle with
attach your image to it, like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like yourself every single day, like getting that lean and like, I mean, you look good, you know, you're shredded. It's like that, and all your hard work pay off. And then post show comes and like you're starting to put on weight again. They're looking a little different again, and it's hard to deal with for sure.
Yeah, like is that, how do you go about doing that? Like, because I know like some people do different things for mindset, like, you know, around like sport or around like what you do in prep and things like that. Like, how did you stay with that mindset? Because it just sounds like when I talk to you about it, like you were like, this is like what's going on right now. I have to do this to compete in my sport. But then like, this isn't me. This is like just what I'm doing. How do you like disconnect?
Yeah, that's another thing I think that comes with like truly loving the process of it, is like it is just a stepping stone, you know, like everything is so temporary. So I just like I think more of the end goal, I guess, like not like even this first show, like it was just another stepping stone. So I know that there's more coming. I know that
it's part of the process too.
You know, like getting thick is just part of it, and you just got to enjoy it for what it is, because like everything has its upsides and everything has its downsides. Like prep, you look awesome, you feel like shit, you're hungry. Off season, it's great, you're eating so much food, you have so much energy, you might see a little less lines, you might feel a little thicker, but you know, feel good. So
you train really fucking hard and
But yeah, I did my best to prepare myself for like the post show, because again, I like watched enough people prep that I knew that it was going to be a struggle.
Sure.
So one, I didn't connect myself to that lean body. It really, like, I literally felt like a skeleton, especially those last 4 weeks. Like, it's not fun being that lean. It's female, like, girls want to have curves, and I'm literally like a stick walking around. Like, this sucks. But yeah, like, I didn't buy any like post-show treats. Like, the food part was the hardest part. The mental, like, I love training. Like, that's the easy part. But the food is the hard part. Going from eating chicken and vegetables for every meal to having the freedom that, like, you know, you can eat
whatever the fuck you want.
Who's really to stop you? And, like, I didn't have any big treats. Like, I did very well for like the first week.
You guys have like an exit plan, like you and your coach kind of had like, okay, like this day is gonna come, and then you guys had like kind of an exit plan then?
Yeah, and like I had done a reverse with her like the months prior, and I did very well with it. Like, I stuck to it, everything just as planned. But I don't know, I was just in such a growth mindset that it was like harder this time. But yeah, so after the show, we left Saturday night, and I didn't get off stage till like 1:30 in the morning. But so all the food restaurants are closed.
So you couldn't rush and get like, you know, like lots of donuts, or like, I feel like the typical things you see people eating post competition. And
I'm like, well, I guess I have meal prep in the hotel room. But gave me the night off, and then that next day she was like, take the full day off. You can eat on plan if you want. You can eat whatever, you know, do you? We'll talk in the morning, and we'll like start a new plan and whatever, go into this reverse. So that's what I did, and I enjoyed myself that Sunday.
What did you have? Like, where'd you go? What'd you have? Like,
so Saturday night, my dad ordered like this huge pizza, and then I had all of like the Reese's that were left over from like pumping up stage. Yeah, they were the Reese's trees too.
Okay. So like for Christmas?
Yeah. Good. So
different than, it's kind of like the macaroni shapes, right? Like it tastes a little bit different, not the same thing. McDonald's Sprite type of thing, like
1000%. And then so I had some rice cakes, 3 Reese's, and then I didn't go that crazy on Saturday night. And then Sunday, and I was chilling, and then I came home, and I hadn't really eaten yet, which I guess I had some chicken that was left over on my drive home. And then I'm like, girl, you just busted your ass for 12 weeks, and you're about to go on plan tomorrow. I'm like, yourself. So I had like some pasta. I love my meal prep food. So like I had rice cakes with almond butter and bananas untrapped, like cream. Like, that's my shit. I just like enjoyed like large amounts of them. And then I had some cookies and some donuts later. But
you were home like for the holidays, right? Like it was like right after, like around Christmas time that you were home, right?
Yeah, so I was here still in Texas for 1 week after. So I did really good sticking to my plan. And I like still was grinding my ass off at work. So I was going on very little sleep on the weekends. And then so I like wake up. So I had 1 good week, and then I go home, and I get on my flight, and I'm on like an hour of sleep at this point, and I'm like down bad, and I had like didn't eat breakfast. I was like woke up late or something. And as soon as I get off the plane, me and my mom go get some pasta, and I'm like, fuck, this is gonna be hard. And I get home, and I do pretty well for like the first couple days, and then I have a rough couple days where like I can take down a lot of food, and then like you take down a lot of like your hormones are just so fucked that like
I was gonna say your head and like your mind has to be all over the place. Like, I deserve this, and then you're probably like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this too much, and right.
But like I'm gonna lose my shreds, but like I gotta grow, but like my hormones are fucked. And feel full, so you just keep eating. And then so I had a couple off days, and then I got back into the gym for a couple more days, and then I fall off again. Christmas, just I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna enjoy this time, and everything is so temporary. So like this will end too, and I struggled like to see myself like that and deal with the weight gain. Like I felt like shit, and I hate training. But then, so I have a couple more bad days and then my flight gets canceled. So I'm home for like 2 days. And this
Yeah, and
actually,
you were like ready to go back, I'm sure at that point too, because like
yeah,
where your head's going, you're like, fuck man, I got to get back in there.
I was just like to the point of telling myself, I'm like, all right, just enjoy it till while you're home. Like when's
Yeah,
the next
let
home?
go a little. Yeah.
Then back on, and then it just keeps getting pushed back, and I got pushed back like 2 more times. So then I was there for like an extra 5 days, and at that point I was just kind of like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it goes from the point of like just being like, oh, I'm just bloated and like I'll sweat it out to like,
Yeah.
damn girl.
I
But
really did eat that whole thing.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, body was just so deprived that it just soaks it all up.
Yeah, it was ready for that, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure. And like I struggled. It wasn't like anything crazy because I knew at the end of the day that my body does like react very quickly. And I was like, this
yeah.
is so tiring, whatever, it's gonna end.
But that's why
And
you're really great at competing, right? Because you respond, you can cut that fast just as fast as you can, kind of like put
yeah,
some weight back on, right? Like and train hard.
yeah, it's like such a it puts my mind at such ease right now. I feel like knowing that I'm doing another show. I guess, yeah. So
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna do another year.
Yeah,
So like no,
we should pause though, right? Because like, how did the first? Go ahead with this, but then we need to talk about the first show.
yeah. So like knowing that I'm doing another show this year, it like puts my mind at ease that I'm like, I'm gonna be a freaking skeleton in another like less than a year. So like just enjoy. Like I'm
Right.
happy, healthy, I'm lifting heavy, I feel good. Like
Living your best life in a new
yeah.
city, killing
It's
it.
cool. So like numbers wise, I'm heavier now. I feel fantastic. Like I'm like I had my little struggle while I was home, and I think
Sure.
it's more off plan than
Yeah.
necessarily like
Yeah, you felt like losing that structure was tough.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I want 75 hard is I just thrive in the structure,
Yeah.
and I'm bigger now than I was before I started prep.
Sure.
Like I was 133 then. I'm like 135 right now,
Yeah.
and not look like this at my last peak bulk. Like I see
Sure.
so many lines. Like
Yeah.
I've just grown so much since the last time I was 8, which is so cool to see going into a growth phase where I'm about to put on a shit ton of muscle before I
Yeah.
cut down.
Yeah.
Like it
That's
just
gotta
gets
feel good because it's like, yeah, I mean, you got those cycles in training, right? So now you're back to that phase, right? But now you must feel great, like looking at yourself and be like, man, I'm fucking, look at all I did in that amount of time. I'm about to do that again. Like, where will I get the next time?
yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
motivating. It's cool to see.
Yeah. So I want to know, I'm really asking this for myself because I mean, anyone that knows me, I work in more of the performance space, like athletic performance. Obviously what you do is performance as well too, but like,
Yeah.
what does a competition look like for you? So like from when you get there in the morning until when you're done, you said you got off stage at like midnight or something like that, something
Yeah.
crazy. Like what does
Like,
a whole day like that look for you?
so it's kind of cool. Like everything is just so structured and like planned out for so long.
Yeah.
All like especially that day and that week, everything's down to timing. So like you're waking up, you're like my coach is telling me when I'm waking up, when I'm drinking X amount of water and taking
Sure.
eating and blah 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 and
Yeah.
measuring and all these things. And then from there, like that's why I like truly think I love the sport so much is because you put in all of the work up until that point. Like
Yeah.
sports is like game day, that's the day you have to perform on.
It's a peak. Yeah.
Build like there's not much you can do once show day comes. If
Yeah.
you work
Like,
hard in the gym,
yeah.
like and it's too late.
Yeah.
So show day, I woke up and I got to enjoy some food because you're carbing up at this point too, ideally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're carbing up, you feel good, better. And
Sure.
I got my nails done, I got my hair done, I got my makeup done, my
Done
family.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like had appointments on appointments, and in between I'm like getting my tan and checking in
Yeah.
with my coach, and it's just like all the fun things are just adding up. And it was a lot of sitting around waiting backstage because they were such a slow show, and that's why they fell so far behind. So usually like, so it was a pro and an amateur show, and the amateurs started in the morning, and they were ideally going to run through all of the prejudging of amateurs, do the pro, and then do finals for the amateur.
Yeah.
Like the pro show was like the priority. Well, they didn't finish prejudging before the pros. So he's always last because it's bikini. So I go on for prejudging after the pros. So that's like 7:30, and finals were supposed to start at like 5.
Oh,
and,
shit.
Oh my God. But so usually
sounds like a powerlifting meter, like my sister was in cheerleading. It never goes on time.
Like, how have we not fixed this?
Yeah.
Very
optimistic judges.
Usually for finals you'll like go out and pose again, but they'd like tried to cut everything so short, which kind of sucks because you
wanted to go do that.
Yeah, like I wanted to come back and like really destroy it and lock it in, and felt good coming back. Like I had a bunch of rest, I got more food in me. So they're just awarding us for the prejudging because they like didn't have the venue. You know, it's like 1 a.m. They don't have time for us to get on stage and pose again.
Yeah.
So they handed out the awards, and
judges are falling asleep and shit.
Yeah. You're like the very, very last ones to be awarded. But so then 1:30 I was out of there and I was exhausted.
And I guess for like people that are listening to this too, like what class were you in? Like how did you perform? What did the judging process kind of look like? I guess a little bit too even. What are they looking for? I guess that's my thing. And when you're judging, what are kind of the criteria you're looking for? What are the things that you have to do to make sure you perform well in those categories? And like, how did you do? And how did you feel you did too?
Yeah, so that's the thing is like every division is very different, and the judges are like, they have a different look in mind that they're looking for. And I mean, I don't necessarily couldn't pinpoint. I mean, there's a reason why I'm not coaching girls up there, but bikini is definitely like it's the least shredded of the female division.
Crazy to
I know, that's what I was saying. I'm like looking at myself and I'm like there's more to this. But like bikini is definitely more bubbly, and like overall like they want that nice X frame between the shoulders, the thin waist, glutes. But just overall bubbly and like even, I guess, proportional.
I'm struggling over here.
There was a girl on my team.
Keep going, I'm crashing. No.
Who I competed with at the show, and she was in the wellness division, and wellness is like same upper body like sizing wise, but just lower, like out of this water. Like if you saw her to mine, like I look like a peanut. It's just crazy. Just the different. So each division is different. They have different looks, different goals, and they all look. But bikini is definitely the one that everybody's like, oh, you're a bikini girl, because it's like the bottom, like leanest. I'm not the biggest, because you got like the figure, you get the wellness girls who are all bigger. Physique. It's just it's the smallest one is the easiest to get into. So like anybody who's like, I'm gonna do a bodybuilding show, they're gonna so that's why I definitely like, you might be able to get yourself like show day lean, but having that knowledge of like what kind of like package to bring to that stage,
like knowing what that like archetype looks like for judging criteria type of thing.
That's why like having a coach's eyes. Obviously I could never prep without a coach, there's no chance, obviously, but like just that accountability in itself is huge. But so I put full trust in my coach and just did everything she set up into show day, and we brought a super good look. I did true novice, and open. True novice is you've never competed in a show. Novice is you've never placed first in a show, and then open is just everybody. So second in true novice, first in novice, and then second in open. And I mean, I was definitely blown away. Like this show was the biggest show.
This isn't like some chump show in the middle of nowhere. Like
And there was
big stage.
Yeah, just the amateurs alone, there was like 800. There was just shy of 800 competitors across the stage between all divisions, but
That must have
still,
been fucking awesome.
yeah. First show, I was like, damn, that's pretty good. And it was a national qualifier, so the top two in each division or each class went to national or can go to or qualify for like 2023 nationals. So that's I haven't really talked to my coach honestly about what like national show I'm gonna do, but they are bringing one of the shows to the same exact spot that I just competed in the same weekend, and I was like, that gives me the full year to grow as much as I can. You know, the most time that I could possibly get, and go back to the same exact spot, which is literally just down the road from me.
Yeah, and do your home field advantage.
So I might as well do it here. So I think my goal is going to be for the December show, but so I'll be national stage this year, which would be pretty exciting.
Pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy that like you just went in like head first like that, and that's how it turned out. I mean, like you got to be really like be wide-eyed about that, right? Like where you're gonna go now.
Yeah, I still like have my moments where I like think back to just the whole process of prep and how I ended up doing and all of it, and I'm like, damn, that's really freaking.
It's also wild to me that you just started weightlifting in like college, like heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like that you had never.
It was all body weight.
Yeah, right. Because you obviously did a little bit for gymnastics and things like sports and stuff, but not on the same type of level. I'm curious, kind of going aside from this, I always see your food. I feel like what's important for some people like is to kind of give people an idea of the types of foods, what you're eating and when. When you were in the prep phase, or I guess you have two separate phases, right? Like kind of like a bulking phase and then your prepping phase. What did the food look like, and like what were some of your staples in each phase? Because I think even if this is a general population person listening or whatever, like right, you're eating different foods for different reasons in different parts of your training. So like, what was that for you? What were those foods and like why? Kind of your why behind it.
Yeah, so when I first hired my coach, I did the macro approach to like my food, and I loved it. I'm all for the macros, just like lifestyle wise, it's awesome. And I knew that once I started prep, I wanted to switch to meal plan just because, again, I wanted to do the absolute most to control every variable I could. And since then, I have fallen in love with meal plan, and I don't think I could personally, just because, like, again, I want to do the most before I get back up on stage. And so I'm meal plan. So honestly, I guess I started meal plan like a month before I started prep. So that's when I was still eating a good amount of food. So my food didn't change from that bulking period going into prep, and then even first, I've been eating the same foods. It's just the amount that have like drastically were cut and then brought back because
no, that makes sense. How did you go ahead? I just have like a separate question off of that. Go ahead.
No, I don't even remember where I was going with that.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, like, how did you guys go about, because this is a big thing I do with nutrition coaching clients, is like, you want to find what foods they like, and then you put it through the macro lens, through the calorie lens, all that stuff. What was your guys' process? Like, what did you do with your coach to go about finding the foods that made sense for your meal plan? And what was kind of like the logic behind why you pick certain foods and not others? Like, what did that look like?
Honestly, it was nothing too extensive. So I guess I've always been posting my food on Instagram too. So like, my always followed me on Instagram, and she sees what I do, and she knows whether I'm actually lying in my check-ins or not, because I'm posting about everything that I do. Always had like very consistent meals and like very similar like, things that I love. So she kind of just took those basics and like applied it to what she thinks I need, and like at the end of the day, I'm not eating for taste and flavor. So eat something, it's probably got a purpose versus caring about whether I like it. I, like learned to love, I guess. Like it just kind of worked out that like she's like, all right, eat this, and I love eating that.
Yeah, sure. And like that's kind of the difference probably for people listening too, like the difference between, hey, this fits within my macros, it's a food I like. It's probably from a performance standpoint not the best option. And then kind of like what you were doing is like, hey, this is a fueling plan. This is going
Yeah.
to get you to X from A to B if you do exactly this. And I feel like that makes so much sense kind of based off what you've said too, is you
Yeah.
thrive in that structure too.
Yeah. And I've honestly noticed like a lot of difference. Like, again, macros is great for lifestyle, especially like just getting started into things. But
Yeah.
people are just like kind of abusing it almost. And they're like the Kodiak cakes and the protein bars and like,
Acting
there's,
like things fit in that don't, like
yeah, yeah, there's like a lot of shit that goes into that,
additives and
the whole foods that like makes you feel good. And since following a meal plan, I've just been so big on like whole foods and whole
yeah,
ingredients. And like when I started my prep, I cut out all sauces, like sugar
sure.
free, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
I don't want
Even the
any,
ketchup?
all of it.
Yeah.
All ate plain
No.
for 12 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
But
yeah, no, that's cool because I feel like there's probably different like factions within bodybuilding, right, too, where people are really supplement heavy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like almost, hey, this fits within my plan. It says there's blah blah grams of protein. I don't need to care about any other part of what's in this stuff.
yeah.
Do you feel like when you look at some other people within what you do you feel like there's a big difference between what you do and what you see other people do, I guess, from a performance standpoint in their fueling or?
Um, I feel like a wide variety of all of the above. Like there's
Yeah,
people that follow like the whole foods. Like it's just everybody has their own perspective on what is best
yeah,
nutrition, and
sure.
from whether they only eat meat, and fat,
Yeah,
or
have like
what,
like a dietary preference or yeah,
yeah, same as mine or whatever it is. Um, there's no best way, and like honestly, it's
yeah.
always what you can stick to. And
Sure.
remember where I was going with this, but
Yeah. No, you're all good. So you were talking about like coaching earlier too. I know that you coach clients online. How has that gone for you? Because I know you were taking some online clients. How's that been going for you? Like, what type of demographic are you typically looking for? Are they bikini competitor aspiring people, or are you working with like kind of a mix of general pop in that? Like, what does online coaching look like for you right now?
so I originally wanted to get into it
Yeah.
before down to Texas. And I kind of messed around with it a little bit, didn't really talk about it, didn't really put myself out there. It was just kind of like for those who were coming to me, just like
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
people that were the friends that were like, hey, will you help me out with this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I moved down to Texas and then I started my prep and I went prep mode and I shut everything off, like
Yeah.
I
No,
was,
no, that makes sense.
yeah. So I didn't really do much with it then. But then post show, I was thinking about it and I was like, just do it. I'm like, you're never gonna start if you don't start. So
Yeah.
like a day or two after my show, I had posted about it, and I got like 4 or 5 girls that like slid up, and so I started working with them right away, and I
Yeah.
have like 7 or 8 clients right now, and I would
Cool.
say 2 or 3 of them are like aspiring bikini, but
Sure.
I like big on if you don't live the lifestyle before, don't do it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll,
Don't come here and like put this all on me. Like for I'm
yeah.
not committed. I don't really want to be attached to that almost.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you want to do it, that's cool, but like you don't really realize how like crazy it is. And if you can't do it without the goal of getting on stage, like
Yeah.
just live of it, then you don't need to like go hire a coach and do it. Like
Yeah.
which
Or have a different goal too, right? Like
you can like if you're not gonna walk the walk, don't talk about, getting on stage and doing this and that. Um but yeah, so like it's just lifestyle. I would love to one day like coach competition and like
sure.
the prep girls, but I know I'm not there yet, and I know that, so I'm not gonna like ever tell somebody that I could get them on
Sure.
stage. that I can't, and I wouldn't do that and like put somebody else's health at risk like that. But
Sure. You're kind of like in the process of like learning that for yourself. And I feel like too, right, just with more experience with doing that,
yeah,
you will
yeah,
feel really comfortable walking someone through that process.
yeah. It's been like having my own mentor, like as my coach, watching her, like I'm doing what I want to do, like
Yeah.
I can sit and tell somebody to do something knowing how it feels to be that depleted and have to go do 2 hours of
Yeah.
cardio.
You know what you're asking them to do.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
It kind of,
that's a cool place to be. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say the same thing. It's just cool to be able to like have that experience and go through it myself first.
Yeah, and I think that's a really big thing that I talk to like younger coaches about too, is like you have to have your own coach too. Like that's, I think, is the biggest thing if you want to succeed within that space. It's like I have a whole, roster of online clients, but I also like have my own. So,
All,
just thinking that, yeah,
all of the best coaches always have coaches.
they do. They do.
Yep.
I think that's really important. So that's really cool. For you, I guess, so now going forward, like out of the prep phase, where does training kind of go for you now? Like where's training going? And then I guess, what are your, I hate to be resolutionary because like, I
Yeah.
know like I don't think either of us are like that, but like, what are your big goals for yourself? Like professionally and from an athletic standpoint this year, like what are the big things like you want to accomplish this year?
Yeah. So I had my two, like, I say they were like tough weeks over the holidays, but honestly, like, I knew in the moment that it wasn't gonna last, and like it
Yeah,
didn't. And I came back full freaking force, and
yeah,
I all of that food to the best of use because my training has been through the roof. This is my first rest day actually since I've been back from the holidays because
yeah.
I've going ham because I haven't had this much energy in forever, and
Oh yeah,
recovering and quickly, and just it feels good. So yeah, I've been coming back full force, and training's through the roof. So I'm just gonna grow as much as I can. We're like in the process of still pushing food.
sure.
um I woke up this Monday and I didn't really put a lot of thought into it, and I was
Yeah.
like, 75 hard, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
So
What is that? Like, because I saw you obviously post about it's kind of like your challenge for yourself. Are you doing this with clients? Like, what's your 75 hard? Like, what does that look like?
yeah, so I'm doing it completely by myself. I literally put the thought in it for
Yeah.
about seconds. I was like, I like considered it, and then I was like, nah. And then I was like, you know what? I need to be doing this either way. Like that's why I feel like I had posted that I don't think I would struggle very much, which might sound cocky, but I think it's
It is
confident.
what it is.
It is what it is. I shouldn't struggle. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm a weak little bitch. So
Yeah.
uh, I like had a
Love it.
I like doubted it, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And then I was like, fuck it, I should be doing this anyway, so I'm gonna do it. So then I made the whole post about it,
Yeah.
and I pretty much like I'm sticking to all of the rules that like come with it, like 2 workouts a day, 2 45-minute
Yeah.
workouts outdoors, all of that. But I just kind of like tailoring it to fit my bodybuilding protocol because
Yeah.
I'm getting age again this year. I'm like, yeah, I'm 12 months out right now, 11 months
Sure.
out next show, but
Yeah.
I know, so why
Yeah.
would I do as much as I can right now? Like every other competitor, they
Yeah.
might not.
You're thinking more of like you're not waiting to start working toward that.
Yeah, like just because I'm eating food, like what does that give me the reason to slack off? Every other competitor that's going to get up there, they might not start like doing the most until 6 months out. Well, that's giving
Yeah.
me like months of an
Oh
advantage.
yeah, a huge window of opportunity to get
Yeah,
better. Yeah.
and it's hard having that goal set so far out too. Like
Yeah.
thought I needed something sooner. So I was like, you know what, 75 hard is gonna be perfect. Pretty much just tailored it to like what my coach's protocols are for me.
Yeah.
Not really doing 2 workouts because I train very hard and I don't need to tax my body that hard.
Yeah, because you know how to train like a few lifts really hard, so you're not
Yeah,
going to come in
yeah.
again.
And like recovery is still important, and I already lack in that area, so I
Yeah,
don't need to more.
sleep from
But
bartending and yeah,
yeah, my
yeah,
lack. Um, But yeah, this is day 4 and it feels good again. Like I feel like almost prep mode, but with energy, and there's a lot of food, and so I'm not so focused. I have more time in the day. You know, it's a really good version of prep. So I love it so far. I'm day 4 and I'm killing it. So
Yeah, that sounds great. Like, what were the things that you picked? Because I remember you had like kind of a list of things you were doing. I saw like, which I love too, just like making sure you get walks in, get your lights in,
yeah.
like what are the pieces of that for you?
So I Googled a picture of it. I have it on my phone. I don't remember exactly, but I Googled a picture of like the 30-day or the 75 hard challenge.
Yeah.
And I literally just followed all the rules. And then I like made a pinpoint of each rule. So it's a gallon of water, which I do that. 2 45-minute walk or 45-minute workouts. One has to be outdoors, 10 pages of book. That one is probably going to be the hardest one for me. I'm not going to lie.
What do you read right now, Ashley? Let's see if you're practicing what you preach.
I am killing it so far. I've got my
keep going.
I'm reading Atomic Habits first though.
Oh, James Clear.
Yeah, I never read. It's like, dude, it's such a staple. So
yeah, sure.
I lack with my reading skills, so that one's gonna get harder, but it'll get done.
Yeah.
I don't remember what else there is, but yeah, it was just like it's pretty much things I just should be doing.
Structure again. Yeah. Like I think it sounds like that's kind of like the environment you thrive in the best too, right?
Yeah.
Even if I'm not doing that right now, I need something.
Yeah, I just need to know that I'm like at the end, go to bed and be like, okay, I did everything I can today to like put myself in the best position to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels good. So yeah, obviously athletic wise, my big goal this year is getting on that national stage. And I honestly don't know details, whether it's like first or because I did the same thing with this past show. I like don't think about the show itself, like like thinking about the day to day, because again, that's all I can control. But there's like the opportunity to win your pro card at this show, and so always the big goal is getting that pro card. But I'm in no rush. I'm here for the long term. So whenever that.
How do you get that? Like, how do you get your pro card then?
So it'd be like, depending on the show, top 1 or 2 in your like division or your class of the division. Yeah. So it just depends on the show, but that'd be pretty freaking cool. But it's also like my first national stage. So I like, that's what was cool about the last one is I just drop all expectations. I do what I can, all expectations, and whatever happens. So
I like that. That's such like a game day mentality there. Like, look, I did all the preparation. We'll see if I did everything I was supposed to when I step out there.
Yep, exactly. So that's kind of goals. Online coaching, I really just want to keep growing it as much as I can. Until then, like that's kind of like why I bartend too. Bartending works out so well with my bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Now that I'm not in school, like I literally just bodybuild during the day, eat all my meals, I work out, I do my cardio, I go bar and make some cash and pay the bills, and eventually like I can switch those over and be able to rely on my online coaching and not have to work late nights. But grinding, because I'm like, especially being by myself and being so young, I'm like, I have no reason to just sit here on a Saturday night. Like, get your ass to work and go make some money.
Go make some money, go meet some people. And that's the thing too. I mean, you have a very like natural environment where you can talk to people. And people are going to look at you and be like, hey, what do you do? It's networking that way, right?
I don't even have to
let me tell you what I do. Give me some fucking money.
Where do I begin?
That's from this money. This doesn't count toward it. No, that's really cool. I think that's kind of like the best thing to do, because I noticed that even for me when I moved, it was like I was just doing online coaching, and what gives you an opportunity to get more clients is being in person. So like I started it and I was like all past clients, athletes I had worked with, or general fitness population clients I work with, got all those people. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was all organic. You need to like go and meet people. So it's cool that you have that bodybuilding space that you're going into too, because it gives you a place to network. Bartending gives you a place to network. So really cool.
kind of crazy how much like you wouldn't think it would, but like the connection between like me working in these clubs and like me being around these kids at Alpha Land.
Yeah.
I call them kids. They're like my age. Everybody's like out of college.
Yeah.
It's not high schoolers,
Yeah.
but like because like they are my age, and not most people aren't like not drinking right now and not partying.
Sure.
So like all of these influencers are here like trying to meet each other, and well, what do you think they're doing at night? You know, where do you think they're going?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I really just like, it's a weird connection that you wouldn't really put together,
Yeah.
but it works out pretty cool. Like I don't know, I just get to see a lot of the same people, and like people come and see me that I meet at Alpha Land.
Yeah, sure. That sounds really cool, because right, like that's just gonna put you in a space to be like more, I guess, versus just walking up to them in a gym setting too, right?
Yeah.
Like it allows you to kind of just kick it with them, but like it makes them more accessible too, or you
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, plus they're usually drinking, and it's always easier to talk when people are drinking. So
they're later. Yeah, you get their number. Yeah. We should do yeah, we should do stuff together. All right, man. Like
yeah.
No, that's really cool. I guess, and we're rated about an hour, so I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you got to get going later. Training. That was the last thing I wanted to talk. Do you have time, by the way? I don't want to.
Yeah, I have like an hour.
Cool. I'll cut you loose after that. But like for you, training right now, like how frequently do you train? Like strength training versus cardio? Like not versus, like what is your weekly breakdown look like as far as like how many times do you strength training? How frequently do you do cardio? What are some of the main staple movements or piece of equipment that you use?
Yeah, so I definitely do. So I train 5 days a week, like actual lifting. I definitely am very bodybuilding focused style of training. Sure. Like just, I do my best to train to failure. I really think it's like an acquired skill. I don't think somebody can just like hop weight and train to failure. So like, I truly think I'm like getting there, but I don't think I'm completely there, especially not in all of my lifts. Sure. But I enjoy training by myself more than anything. I love it. I love training with other people too, but overall, like I prefer to be by myself. And the day, I don't think I can push myself close to failure, at least as close to failure under a barbell that I can with dumbbells. So I do a lot of my lifts with dumbbells. Like I also just have a lot of fun kicking up some heavy weight and doing as many as I can. It's just easy to drop it, you know, and not have to worry about dropping a barbell on my chest. And
sure, you can just let the weight go and bail on it. Yeah,
exactly. So I do 5 days a week. Currently, like my goals for this upcoming show are to really grow my glutes and my shoulders. So I do a lot of shoulders and glute focus right now in my split. But pretty much the staples. Like when I train with other people, that's when I usually switch things up and do some fun things and, you know, something different. But most of the time, like I'm just like, you know, grabbing the dumbbells and I'm doing lateral raises and I'm doing track and I'm doing chest press. And, you know, I don't do anything fancy. I have a lot of crazy machines. I do single arm dumbbell rows and I do the basics. And I've been doing those same exact basics for so long. And like, you know, my hip during prep, and now I'm working it back up, but I'm still doing those same exact movements. You know, I'm not going to make a bunch of gains doing all the different stuff all the time just because of how specific my goals are to lifting. But yeah, cardio wise, I never take out cardio. I honestly love cardio. Yeah. When I have energy. Yeah. But yeah, so right now I'm still like kind of reversing. So we're still trying to get food back up. And
so that's why you're doing the walks primarily, right? It makes the most sense for
30 minutes for 6 days a week right now, which is quite a bit up there. But honestly, I think I'm going to keep it in until I'm done with 75 hard because it's going to help me get that out in. But
you're good to get outside too, right? Because like you're in the gym and then you go bartend, so getting you some sun in between.
Yeah, exactly. But like even peak off season, I'll still do like 4 days a week just to like heart health. It feels good when you're eating that much food to have a little help with digestion and movement.
I think that's really good for people to hear too, because I think everybody always makes it like this versus that, and it's all context. But here's the thing is like you're speaking to like, look, like I also want to make sure I'm looking after like my heart and cardiorespiratory health, things like that. Like it's not just one dimensional. You can't just focus on one aspect of training.
Yeah.
A lot of results on the table, number one. And then number two, you just don't want to be skipping on things like that for your
absolutely. Still enjoy being healthy, especially coming out of prep, which is so unhealthy, you know, like it feels good.
Yeah, I love hearing from you too. And this is what I talk to people I work with too, is I think people just struggle a lot of the time to get some momentum and get and really string together like, hey, I've been training 4 days a week for a year, or like, 6 months, a year. And so they don't understand that it is a really small amount of movements done very well, loaded appropriately, periodized however it makes sense for their goals over time, that like makes the result. So it's cool to see someone like you get up and see how you look on the stage and go, yeah, she does the fundamentals like crazy. She has some fun training with other people, but it's not all this Instagram real bullshit, like movie montage, flipping tires. Like it's me grabbing a dumbbell, going super fucking heavy and doing it over and over and over.
That's what I love most about my training videos that I post on my Instagram versus like what most of these influencers I'm like, I still got my blender bottle and I just got my phone set up. I don't need a tripod.
Have you ever seen those videos? That one dude that like is like on a Bosu ball, but he's like bench pressing a bench press like rack. I'm like, people like, obviously that's the content people follow because it's just ridiculous. But it's like, but if you do the same thing over and over, they're like, this is boring. I'm like, yeah, but like that's how you get places. Like that's how everything works in life. Just over and over.
And that's why you just have to like keep doing them and trying new things to like find what you enjoy, because you're only gonna enjoy. So like I didn't start with doing all like the program that I'm doing now. It was some trial and I haven't back squatted in over a year probably now, because
and that's probably a cool thing for people to hear too, right? Like it took you some time to figure out the lifts and the cardio and the foods that you actually like, so you can push yourselves in those things and it doesn't feel so taxing, because like as you spoke to, training's fucking hard enough, right? You don't want to be fighting that mental side of I'm doing a ton of things I don't even want to do.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It becomes more like of a lifestyle. Like that's why it's not hard for me to do this now, is because I love every part of it. So
no, that's really cool. Well, Ashley, I appreciate you coming on. We had talked about doing this forever. Super proud of you. Super proud of you taking yourself from lacrosse and doing what you're doing now. And I'm excited to see what you do in the future. Obviously, stay in contact. She might even be one of our influencers coming up here. But then we didn't talk about that in the podcast yet, so I'll wait on that. But no, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.